Chapter 1 of most anatomy textbooks makes reference to the anatomical planes. This video is perfect for you if you're like me and have trouble making sense of that two-dimensional image and what that even means in real life. Today, I'm going to give you some super simple tips along with some video cameo clips from a world record holder, a super spy, and a magician. Welcome to Unstoppable AF Anatomy and Fitness. My name is Melissa, identifying as the real Slim Lady. So let's get going and make that terminology plain and simple. There are three main planes that we're going to review in today's video: the sagittal plane, frontal plane, and transverse plane. This terminology is important because when you're looking at anatomical images, it might reference that it's taken from a sagittal, frontal, or transverse view, so you'll be able to properly orientate yourself. Also, these planes relate to joint movements, which you can check out in our other video. The first of the three planes, the sagittal plane, divides the body into right and left. It divides the body into two sides. So this is like a plane slicing through the body, dividing into right and left. I remember sagittal and sides, so S and S. The sagittal plane is going to divide you into two sides. And sometimes your instructor might be a bit particular about spelling. Does it have one T or two T's? Remember, the sagittal plane divides you into two sides. It has two T's in the name. So if you were looking at an anatomical image and the image was sliced right down the middle, that would be a sagittal view. If we're looking at movements that happen along the sagittal plane, you need to think of standing in a really narrow hallway. So the hallway is closing in on you, closing in on your two sides. That's going to limit the movements that you can do. So you're pretty much doing front to back movements. Think of Usain Bolt sprinting down a track. He's in his narrow lane, and those movements are all straight forward, straight back, breaking world records. It's not until he wins that race that he breaks out and moves along the frontal plane. And the frontal plane, just like the name implies, is going to cut through the body to divide the body into front and back sections. If you were standing in a narrow hallway, that would mean you'd be facing sideways in the hallway. One wall would be on the front, one wall in the back. If we're looking at movements that take place along the frontal plane, these movements are going to limit how we can move. Picturing that narrow hallway, or I don't know, if you had your back pressed up against a wall and had to scale along the side of a building, those would be frontal plane movements. The third plane is the transverse plane. Sometimes the transverse plane is also referred to as the horizontal plane because it runs parallel to the horizon. The transverse plane is going to cut the body into top and bottom sections. So I remember transverse and top, T and T. This would be like a magician sawing their assistant in half.
Under no circumstances should you try this at home.
So if you were looking at an anatomical image and it was a slice going this way, maybe through the torso or through the abdomen, you would be looking at a transverse cross section. The other thing to note is the planes are in relation to the body even if you change position. So it wouldn't matter if a magician sliced their assistant in half while the assistant was standing up or lying down horizontally. The horizontal or transverse plane still divides the body into top and bottom sections. So a section with the head and a section with the feet. I hope this quick lesson and those simple tips help you make sense of that two-dimensional image. We go into a lot more detail about joint movements and the planes of motion in our joint movements video. And we're going to take this one level further in our planes of motion and how that relates to the axes of motion in that video. Chicka chicka Slim Lady. If you're feeling unstoppable AF, don't forget to hit that like button, throw me a virtual polex, and use those digits to hit subscribe and share with a friend. We'll catch you next time. Shh.